Chapter 35. And Joshua kept a Passover unto the Lord in Jerusalem, and they killed the Passover lamb on the 14th day of the first month. And he set the priests in their charges, and encouraged them to the service of the house of the Lord. And he said unto the Levites that taught all Israel, that were holy unto the Lord, Put the holy ark in the house which Solomon the son of David, king of Israel, did build. There shall no more be a burden upon your shoulders. Now serve the Lord your God and his people Israel. And prepare you after your fathers' houses by your courses, according to the writing of David king of Israel, and according to the writing of Solomon his son. And stand in the holy place, according to the division of the fathers' houses, of your brethren, the children of the people, and let there be for each a portion of the fathers' house of the Levites. And kill the Passover lamb, and sanctify yourselves, and prepare for your brethren, to do according to the word of the Lord by the hand of Moses. And Joshua gave to the children of the people of the flock lambs and kids, all of them for the Passover offerings, unto all that were present, to the number of 30,000, and 3,000 bullocks. These were of the king's substance. And his princes gave willingly unto the people, to the priest, and to the Levites, Hilkiah and Zechariah and Jehiel, the rulers of the house of God, gave unto the priest for the Passover offerings 2,600 small cattle, and 300 oxen. Conaniah also, and Shemaiah, and Nethanel, his brethren, and Hashaviah, and Yeiel, and Josabad, the chiefs of the Levites, gave unto the Levites for the Passover offerings 5,000 small cattle, and 500 oxen. So the service was prepared, and the priests stood in their places, and the Levites by their courses, according to the king's commandment. And they killed the Passover lamb, and the priests dashed the blood which they received of their hand, and the Levites flayed them. And they removed the portions that were to be burnt, that they might give them to the divisions of the fathers' houses of the children of the people, to present unto the Lord, as it is written in the book of Moses. And so did they with oxen. And they roasted the Passover with fire, according to the ordinance, and the holy offerings sawed they in pots, and in cauldrons, and in pans, and carried them quickly to all the children of the people. And afterward they prepared for themselves and for the priests, because the priests, the sons of Aaron, were busied in offering the portions that were to be burnt and the fat until night. Therefore the Levites prepared for themselves and for the priests, the sons of Aaron. And the singers, the sons of Asaph, were in their place, according to the commandment of David and Asaph. And Kaman and Jeduthun, the king's seers, and the porters were at every gate. They needed not to depart from their service, for their brethren, the Levites, prepared for them. So all the service of the Lord was prepared the same day, to keep the Passover, and to offer burnt offerings upon the altar of the Lord, according to the commandment of King Joshua. And the children of Israel that were present kept the Passover at that time, and the feast of unleavened bread 7 days. And there was no Passover like to that kept in Israel from the days of Shemuel the prophet, neither did any of the kings of Israel keep such a Passover as Joshua kept. And the priests and the Levites and all Judah and Israel that were present, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. In the 18th year of the reign of Joshua was this Passover kept. And after all this, when Joshua had prepared the temple, Necho, king of Egypt, went up to fight against Carchemish by the Euphrates, and Joshua went out against him. But he sent ambassadors to him, saying, What have I to do with you, you king of Judah? I come not against you this day, but against the house wherewith I have war. And God hath given command to speed me. Forbear you from meddling with God, who is with me, that he destroy you not. Nevertheless, Joshua would not turn his face from him, but disguised himself that he might fight with him, and hearkened not unto the words of Necho from the mouth of God, and came to fight in the valley of Megiddo. And the archers shot at King Joshua, and the king said to his servants, Have me away, for I am sore wounded. So his servants took him out of the chariot, and put him in the second chariot that he had, and brought him to Jerusalem, and he died, and was buried in the sepulchres of his fathers, and all Judah and Jerusalem mourned for Josiah. And Jeremiah lamented for Josiah, and all the singing men and singing women spoke of Josiah in their lamentations unto this day. And they made them an ordinance in Israel, and behold, they are written in the lamentations. Now the rest of the acts of Josiah and his good deeds, according to that which is written in the law of the Lord, and his acts, first and last, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah. All right, let's go back up to verse 1, and we have reached the end of Josiah's reign, but yesterday, and we had began it, and it was a new beginning. It was going to be a new beginning. Josiah was 8 years old when he began to reign, and he would reign for these 31 years. Josiah had turned from the sins that his fathers had committed, and he had destroyed the images and all the Baalim and the Asherim again out of Israel, for they had purged Israel of these things, and this had been done before. And we'll find out that Josiah was going to set up a great feast, and this would be in the 18th year, of King Josiah, when he would have this Passover, and that's where we're going to pick it up in verse 1. And Josiah kept a Passover unto the Lord in Jerusalem, and they killed the Passover lamb on the 14th day of the first month. And Josiah, as God finds, and this one who is found of God, or that one finds God, and we remember now what they did find was that book of the law. They found the law, see, and that's what they found. And when they found the law, they found the understanding of God, the knowledge of God, His wisdom He give you in the beginning for your own good. And they are going to have this celebration now, and it's the Passover. And the Passover was a meal they had just prior to leaving Egypt, and they prepared this Passover meal before they left Egypt. And we'll find out they could leave nothing till the morning of this Passover. It had to all be gone. And the festival, though, is known as the of unleavened bread. And they would kill the Passover lamb on the 14th day of the first month. And it's the 14th day because it's 10 and 4, and that's the law, see, is the work of God, even in understanding on this first, and that's the beginning of the lesser light. And these were the teachings even then. See, the understanding that had come forth then too, and he set the priests in their charges and encouraged them to the service of the house of the Lord. And once again, he's going to set the priests, these ones that stand before God, in their charges according to their duties, and he encourages them into the house of God, service of God. 3. And he said unto the Levites that taught all Israel that were holy unto the Lord, put the ark in the house which Solomon the son of David, king of Israel, did build. There shall no more be a burden upon your shoulders. Now serve the Lord your God and his people Israel. And he said to the Levites, and these are those that join, or the joiners, those ones that join, they taught all Israel, and these were the teachers. And they would to instruct Israel according to the law. And that's what they was given. These were the instructions. These things were they allowed to teach. And the commandment from the king is to put the ark, because the ark had been carried around into the house which Solomon is that peace, that's that covenant that God made even in the beginning. And in the Son, he is that one that come forth from the beloved. He's the king of Israel, built. And we're talking about that house, that inner chamber that was built there where the ark was to be placed. And the ark contains the law. 4. And prepare you after your father's houses by your courses, according to the writing of David, king of Israel, and according to the writing of Solomon his son. Prepare, that's to get ready, after your father's houses, according to the duties that you were assigned. And we remember the divisions according to genealogy that were made to each one according to their father's house. And that would be in that writing. We went through that of David, and he was the beloved, or that chosen one, I call him. and according to the writings of Solomon his son, which David give him. 5. And stand in the holy place according to the divisions of the fathers' houses of your brethren, the children of people, and let there be for each a portion of a father's house of the Levites. And stand accordingly, see this, the divisions, these courses that you were assigned according to your father's houses, according to your name, and your brethren, those of like understanding. These would be to represent your father's house. 6. And kill the Passover lamb, and sanctify yourselves, and prepare for your brethren to do according to the word of the Lord by the hand of Moses. And kill the Passover lamb, for that's what they would do. And this would be that which made atonement even in the beginning for that shadow of death that had come over. It was coming over the Pharaoh's house. See, God had sent that over the great house, that shadow of death, to destroy Egypt, and that's that land of enclosures. But he told Israel, he said, now you put the to kill the Passover lamb and to put the blood on the doorpost, and after that it would be the law that he would tell you to put on the doorpost. This would replace that, and that's the law of God. See, that is that blood. And sanctify yourselves, and to sanctify yourselves is to prepare yourself, make yourself clean, prepare yourself, be ready, and prepare your brethren, those of like understanding, according to these words, this law. See, the ordinances and the statutes that were given to Moses, this one who was drawn out by the hand of God, I might say. 7. And Joshua gave to the children of the people of the flock lambs and kids, all of them for the Passover offerings, unto all that were present, to number of 30,000, and 3,000 bullocks. These were the king's substance. And these would be what Joshua would give to the children of the people, all these of Israel and Judah, of the flock. These are those that are tended over, these lambs and kids, and these represent these ones that are to be led, and all of them for the Passover offerings, and these things that are to make atonement for the Passover. And this was for that which is the ordinance, according to the ordinance, and we'll find out for the free will offerings as well, to number of the 30,000, and this would be the number, or the reckoning, the recording of them was 30,000, and that's 30 because there's 3 tens. That's to complete the law. See, it's dedicated and it's fulfillment. 30,000 is fulfillment. These 3,000 bullocks, and that's to complete the fulfillment of the bullocks. These bullocks, these young bullocks, and they represent those that can get out and go astray and cause harm to the herd. These were of the king's substance. 8. And his princes gave willingly unto the people, to the priests, and to the Levites, Hilkiah, Zechariah, and Jehiel, rulers of the house of God, gave unto the priest for the Passover offerings 2,600 small cattle and 300 oxen. And these princes, these would be the rulers, the sons of the king even, gave willingly unto the people, to the priest, and to the Levites, these ones that stand before God and those that join. These, and we'll find out, this would be Hilkiah and Zechariah and Jehiel. These are the rulers of the house of God. Hilkiah is that portion of God. He's the portion of God. Zechariah, the remembered of God. And Jehiel, those that are sustained by the mighty one. They are the rulers of the house of God. And he gave unto the priest for the Passover offerings, the priests, those that stand before the God, those that stand before God, these Passover offerings even, these 2,600 small cattle, and 2 will be able to witness the fulfillments. That's 1,000. 600, because the work of man is the judgment, is the judgment of these small cattle, and that's those lambs and the kids, those ones that are led easily, and these 300 oxen, and that's for to complete the judgment against the oxen, and that's those that are caused to pull. That's the larger cattle. That's 9. Cananiah also, Shemaiah, Nethanel, his brethren, and Hashabiah, and Yeiel, and Josabad, the chiefs of the Levites, gave unto the Levites for the Passover offerings 5,000 small cattle and 500 oxen. And Cananiah And Kenaniah, he was that one that was set by God. And Shemaiah, those that listened to God. Nethanel was that which was given of the mighty one. Hashabiah is the plan of God. That was the plan of God, that which God devised in the beginning. Yeiel, those that would be swept away by the mighty one. This endowment of God, God has endowed, and that's Yosabad. God has endowed that to the mighty one. These are the chiefs among the Levites, or these rulers of those that join. They would give to the priest for the Passover offerings, and that's for that which will make atonement for the Passover. 5,000 small cattle, and that's the lesser cattle, those that can be led. It's for grace in its fulfillment. And there's 500 oxen, and there is even grace in the judgment for the oxen. And that's the greater cattle, those that pull, or those that are caused to even, we'll find out, they pull, and they're going to pay the price. 10. So the service was prepared, and the priests stood in their place, and the Levites by their courses according to the king's commandment. So everything's ready. The service is prepared. Everything's got ready, and it's prepared. And the priests stand in their place. They've sanctified themselves, these that stand before God, and the Levites by their courses according to their appointments. See, according to what they did, according to their assignment, according to the king's commandment. 11. And they killed the Passover lamb, and the priest dashed the blood with that they received of their hand, and the Levites flayed them. And they would kill the Passover lamb, and the priest would dash the blood which they received of their hand, and the Levites flayed them. Because, see, it's all because the law was from God in the beginning, and that's what's going to make atonement. That's what's going to stay you from that shadow of death. That's the disobedience of the law. See, that death that comes, it's an automatic thing, God said. As soon as you disobey, as soon as you don't observe, don't keep the commandments of God, there's death. There's destruction. It's not good coming. See, and this is that what it represents. This blood is dashed against the altar of God because it's God's altar. It's this place what God's done in the earth. This is the place that God has prepared, because God gives life as well as God destroys life. 12. And they removed the portion that were to be burnt, that they might give them to the divisions of their fathers' houses of the children of the people, to present unto the Lord, as it is written in the book of Moses. And so did they with the oxen. And they removed the portions that were to be burnt, that portion, that fat, and the other parts that were to be burnt, because to the smoke to come off them, to present unto the Lord, to present this portion unto the Lord as commanded, as it's written, that so we can have it and we can understand it and keep it. This book of Moses, that's the law. So did they with the oxen, and so did they with this portion of the oxen, according to the law, with that portion that goes with each portion, according to the law. 13. And they roasted the Passover with fire, according to the ordinance, and the holy offerings sawed they in pots, and in cauldrons, and in pans, and carried them quickly to all the children of the people. And they would roast this Passover with fire, according to the ordinance, just like the God commanded, with the portions that go with it, this dry portion and that wet portion, that liquid portion that goes with each one, according to the ordinance. And these holy offerings, these holy because they're hallowed, they're set aside. This is that portion that goes to God, see. And these offerings, they sod them in the pots, and that's to cook them. They cooked them in these pots, and in the cauldrons, and in the pans, however they prepared them after they were boiled and carried them quickly to the children of the people. And these would be taken out and prepared before the people, as it was commanded. 14. And afterward they prepared for themselves and for the priest, because the priests, the sons of Aaron, were busied in offering the portions that were to be burnt and the fat until night. Therefore the Levites prepared for themselves, and the priests, the sons of Aaron. So the Levites are going to prepare for the priests and themselves Because we'll see now, the priests, these ones that stand before God, the sons of Aaron, the ones of the light bringer, were busy in offering these portions that were to be burnt, this fat, until night. And that's the goodliness, the fat of it. That's all the richness of it that belongs to God, till the sun was going down. Because there was a great festival. We'll find out there was no such festival kept as for years. And these Levites would prepare the portion for not only themselves and the priests, but we'll find out for the singers and these at the gates and everybody else who was busied in the work of God. 15, and the singers, these sons of Asaph, were in their place, according to the commandment of David, and Asaph, and Kaman, and Yedutun the king's seer, and the porters were at every gate. They needed not to depart from their service, for the brethren, the Levites, prepared for them. And these singers, these are the sons of Asaph. Asaph's the gatherer. He's the gatherer. They were in their place, according to the commandment of David. He's that beloved. He's that chosen one God sent to make for this. And Asaph, he was the gatherer. And Kaman and Jeduthun, the king's seers. And Kaman was the faithful, these that keep, these that maintain, these that observe. Jeduthun, the praisings. Well, they were the king's seers, these ones that had vision, these ones that had the understanding, and they were the porters of the gate, and the porters were at every gate, according to their fathers' houses, the divisions as they was prescribed. These porters were the keepers, these ones that kept the gates, and that's them places of judgment. They didn't depart from their service, we'll find out, for their brethren, these ones of like understanding, the Levites, those that joined, prepared that portion for them. 16, so all the service of the Lord was prepared the same day to keep the Passover, and to offer burnt offerings upon the altar of the Lord, according to the commandment of King Yoshia. So all this service, all of it, the festival, this period of God, this season of God, was prepared the same day, and with the same understanding. It was to keep the Passover, to offer these burnt offerings, and that's those things that's going to pass through the fire to make atonement upon the altar. That's that place where they slay. That place belongs to God. That's God's altar, according to the commandment of King Yoshia. And that's the commandment as King commanded them to keep this Passover. Yoshia is that one who found God. He found the law of God, that book of God, that law of Moses that had been lost. 17, and the children of Israel that were present kept the Passover at that time, and the feast of unleavened bread 7 days. And these children of Israel, those that contend with the mighty one that were present, they kept this Passover. This, we'll find out, it's the festival of unleavened bread for 7 days. During that period, this Passover, during that period, though, and the feast of unleavened bread. That's that period where we remove all the leavening. All the leavening is taken out, removed, and it's a representation of when the children of Israel come out of Egypt. They didn't have time to prepare. They didn't have time to wait for the bread to rise. They didn't have time to prepare these leavenings or understanding of a similitude. They didn't have time to prepare all this. They come out of Egypt with the law of God, following God, and we'll find out in the beginning God gave them some understanding and their knowledge and their wisdom, and these things shouldn't be leavened. Bread, this substance, that's that which sustains body and soul. The 7 days, that's because it's perfection. It's to accomplish the days or these understandings. 18, and there was no Passover like to that kept in Israel from the days of Shemuel the prophet, neither did any of the kings of Israel keep such Passovers as Joshua kept, and the priests and the Levites and all Judah and Israel that were present, and the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And there was no Passover like to that kept, in Israel from the days or even in the understandings of Shemuel the prophet. Shemuel was that one that heard the mighty one. He heard the mighty one, and he hears the mighty one, or listened to the mighty one. He was the prophet, He was the speaker in that period of time. Shemuel was the one who warned them. They didn't want a king, but they said, give us a king like all the other nations. Like all the other nations. And God said, he's going to give them a king. God did give them a king. They kept this Passover, this festival of unleavened bread. The priests and the Levites, those that stand before God, and those that join in Judah and Israel, all of them that were present, the inhabitants of Jerusalem. That's that place of peaceful teachings. And we would find out there wouldn't be no other kings that would keep Passover, such as this one that Yoshua would keep, or kept. That would be the one who found God, or God found. 19. In the 18th year of the reign of Yoshua was this Passover kept. In the 18th year, that was the same time Yoshua was going through the land, and he was destroying everything. He was tearing all the things down, and he had purged all the land. It took him 6 years, and in the 18th year, 18, because see, it's 10 and 8, and that's the law, and it has a new beginning in the greater understandings, even in these reigns of Yoshua, and that's that one who found God. He was found of God, and they did find the law of God. Now, that was that Passover that was kept, and that was that, even that great celebration that where the shadow of death was kept from destroying that generation. Because we find out it's come down to each generation, see, each generation having to turn, each generation having to turn. 20 after all this, when Yoshua prepared the temple, Necho, king of Egypt, went up to fight against Carchemish by the Euphrates, and Yoshua went out against him. And after all this was passed by, and it would be many years later we'd find out, see, this was during the 18th year of his reign. 31 years would he would reign. So it's several years later. Yoshua had prepared the temple, and everything was set in its course and its service, and everything was good. Necho, the king of Egypt, went up to fight against Carchemish by the Euphrates, and Carchemish is this fortress of Chemosh. Chemosh was a sun image they worshipped. It was not a god that God had given the rule over many nations, and these sun gods, these things that were of enlightenment, they were many in the land. And Necho was the king of Egypt. Necho is the lame, or the lamed, or this lamer, this one who lames. He is the king of Egypt, and that's that land of enclosures. He had gone up to fight against this fortress of the sun image. It was by the Euphrates, and that's that fruitful place. And Yoshua went out against him. Yoshua decides that he's going to go fight against Necho. 21. But he sent ambassadors to him, saying, what have I to do with you, you king of Judah? I come not against you this day, but against the house wherewith I have war, and God hath given command to speed me. Forbear you from meddling with God, who is with me, that he destroy you not. And Necho sends ambassadors. He sends his messengers to tell the king of Judah, that's Yoshua, this one, the king of praisings. I come not against you. I ain't come out to fight you. I ain't come out against your understanding, but against this house, and that's that place wherewith he had war. God had given him speed, and that was Carchemish. That was that house of the sun image. That was that fortress even of the sun image. That's that stronghold, that place where they got a stronghold. He said, forbear from meddling with God, who is with me, that God does not destroy you. 22. Nevertheless, Yoshua would not turn his face from him, but disguised himself, that he might fight with him, and hearkened not unto the words of Necho from the mouth of God, and came to fight in the valley of Megiddo. Nevertheless, Yoshua wouldn't listen. He wouldn't listen to Necho, this lamer, this one who was going to lame, who warned him. See, he had sent warning to him, let him know that he had come up, he had nothing, no problem with him. It was Carchemish he had come to destroy. But Yoshua wouldn't listen to what God was trying to tell him. God was going to destroy this Chemosh. But Yoshua comes on out to fight. He fights in the valley of Megiddo. And that valley is always going to represent that lower place. See, that place, and I always call it the valley, it's that place of flesh. It's of Megiddo. And Megiddo is that place of the multitudes, or even where the multitudes are going to be gathered. 23. And the archers shot at King Yoshia, and the king said to his servants, have me away, for I'm sore wounded. And these archers, those that bend the bow, they take a shot at King Yoshia. We'll find out he had 2 chariots running around the battle. He was easy to spot as one of the head men. And they take a shot at him. He tells his servants, take me out of the battle because I've been wounded bad. 24. So his servants took him out of the chariot and put him in the second chariot that he had, brought him to Jerusalem, and he died and was buried in the sepulchres of his fathers, and all Judah and Jerusalem mourned for Yoshia. And his servants took him out of his chariot. That's that place of his war machine, that place where he stood. He thought he could control the great strength of God. We'll find out. They put him in his second chariot. Now witness that. That's that second chariot. Witness that chariot. That's that other war machine. See, and that's that one he had tagging around behind him who made him known. And they bring him to Jerusalem. That's that place of peaceful teachings. And he dies. And he's buried in the sepulchres of his fathers. That's that place where they buried the good guys. And all Judah and Jerusalem mourned for Yoshia. And Judah and Jerusalem, those of praisings and those of peaceful teachings, are going to mourn for Yoshia, that one who found God, or the one who God found. The law of God's what they found. See, that was the book. It's all written down there. 25. And Jeremiah lamented for Yoshia, and all the singing men and singing women spoke of Yoshia in their lamentations unto this day. And they made them an ordinance in Israel, and behold, they are written in the Lamentations. And they are written in the Lamentations that we can read them. And Jeremiah lamented. And Jeremiah is that one who was appointed by God, the appointed of God. He lamented and he cried, and for Yoshia, this one who had found God. And all the singing men and singing women spoke of Yoshia in their lamentations, these mournful prayers, these songs even that they would sing unto this day. And it's in that understanding. And they made them an ordinance in Israel. 26. Now the rest of the acts of Yoshia, and his good deeds, according to that which is written in the law of the Lord. Now the rest of his acts, those things that Yoshia had done, and his good deeds, according to that which is written in the law of the Lord, because Yoshia tried to do that which was right, tried to do that which is according to the law of God. We'll find out God said there would be peace in his days. He wouldn't live to see the evil that was going to come upon it, because God was bringing judgment. God was going to bring judgment. 27. And his acts, first and last, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah. And his acts, first and last, from the beginning to the end, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah. We got them there. They're a witness. They are a witness. These words that are written, these teachings even that God give us of these kings, these examples that he's made through time, each generation having to turn, see, and turn back to God. We're going to move forward. Chapter 36, turn and return.